And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics. And now here's your host, Robert Cardoza.
And welcome aboard. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. Well, you know what? We've got a fantastic show for you today. We have a fantastic show for you every day. Now, yesterday we actually ran an archive show because I was a little weary. I had gone out to a magnificent, we went to a party of a neighbor's on Saturday, and we stayed up a little late for that, and that was fantastic. And then the next day we got up early, and my wife and I met some friends over at the Anaheim White House and had a magnificent brunch over there and celebrated the birthday of of John Hanson's mother-in-law, Lucy Flores. Gosh, I almost forgot. How embarrassing is that? Then we left there and we actually went to Disneyland and the California Adventure. We had a private tour guide and went through the whole park, both parks, saw some magnificent things, rode some magnificent rides, ended the evening with a magnificent, just unbelievable dinner at Club 33, the private club that Disney has there. It's a 5-star restaurant, and it's been remodeled, and it is just beautiful. But you know what? Let's get on with the show. We'll talk more about that probably next on Monday with John. Oh, no, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see what we talk about on Monday. Anyway, on today's show, we're going to talk about what's in the news, new legislation, the IRS Loses. We do that all the time. We're going to have our segment, the tribute to late, great Paul Harvey, and the rest of the story. Today's story is the artistic type. You're not going to want to miss it. It's one of those surprise endings that you're really going to enjoy. And then, of course, we'll have our own Sean LaFave here. Sean and I will be talking about a number of things on his segment, generally healthcare, but I'm sure we'll talk about a variety of things with John. But you know what? Normally right now we'd tell you that we were going to talk to you about encapsulated top 10 things in the news. For some reason, we didn't get that today, so I'm going to let you know that at 3:03 p.m. Pacific time, it is currently 63 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's down from 66 degrees on its way to 50 degrees. So, a lot colder than that last night, I can give you that. And then, right now though, let me give you some, in-depth news that's going on. We'll just cover the news and see if we can't cover, it a little bit more in depth. And right at the top here is Aleppo falls. Trump faces a test on posture toward Russia. Aleppo's fall to Syrian government forces is shaping up as the first major test of President-elect Donald Trump's desire to cooperate with Russia, whose military support has proven pivotal, I should say, in Syria's civil war. Now, the death and destruction in the city is only renewing Democratic and Republican concern with Trump's possible new path. Though Trump has been vague about his plans to address this next phase in the nearly 6-year-old conflict, he suggested closer alignment between the United States and Russian goals could be in order. His selection today of ExxonMobil CEO Rex Tillerson, who has extensive business dealings with Russia and ties to President Vladimir Putin, fueled further speculation that Trump will pursue a reapproachment with Moscow. A warmer relationship could alter U.S. policy on nuclear weapons, sanctions, Ukraine, and innumerable other issues, but none so clearly or quickly as Syria, where President Bashar Assad's defeat of U.S.-backed rebels in Aleppo is poised to be a turning point. Assad and Russia are expected to seize the moment to try to persuade the United States to abandon its flailing strategy of trying to prop up the rebels in their battle to oust Assad. Well, that decision will fall on Trump. So we'll see what happens. Don't have much time left if you think about it. What is today? The 13th, and on January 20th, everything stops. So that's just about 4 weeks from now. Not much time. We'll see what's going on, and probably a lot sooner than what we really care to. And speaking of Aleppo, rebels to evacuate Aleppo in a surrender deal as fighting ends. Syrian rebels reached a ceasefire deal to evacuate from eastern Aleppo in an effective surrender today, Thursday, as Russia declared all military action had stopped and the Syrian government had assumed control of the former rebel enclave. The dramatic developments, which appeared to restore the remainder of what was once Syria's largest city to President Bashar Assad's forces after months of heavy fighting and a crippling siege, followed reports of mass killings by government forces closing in on the final few blocks still held by the rebels. Damascus confirmed the evacuation deal, and the United Nations envoy for Syria, Stefan de Mistura, called for immediate access to the former rebel enclave to confirm the end of military operations and to oversee the safe departure of tens of thousands of civilians and opposition fighters. He was at the Security Council where an emergency meeting for Aleppo was actually underway. Russia's UN ambassador Vitaly Churkin took to the floor near the end of the session at the UN Security Council to announce fighting had ended. Well, you know what? Let's hope it stays that way. Wouldn't you like to just have some peace on earth, especially during this season? I would certainly hope so. Well, you know what? The Islamic State turned Mosul into a city of terror and darkness, so I guess our hopes are really just exactly that. You know, she survived the first stone that struck her, then the second. One of the Islamic State group's fighters bent down and pressed his fingers to the side of her neck to check for a pulse. As her horrified neighbors watched, extremists threw a third stone at the young woman who was accused of adultery. That one killed her. It was for those who witnessed it the cruelest moment in Mosul's descent into fear, hunger, and isolation under 2.5 years of Islamic State rule. Before the militants take over, Iraq's second largest city was arguably the most cultural place in the country, with a Sunni Muslim Arab majority, but also thriving communities of Kurds, Shiites, Christians, and Yazidis. Together, they had created Mosul's district identity with its own cuisine, intellectual life, and economy. But the Islamic State group turned Mosul into a place of literal and spiritual darkness. It began with the promises of order and of a religious utopia that appealed to some, but over time the militants turned crueler. The economy crumbled under the weight of the war and shortages set in. Those who resisted watched neighbors who joined the IS turn prosperous and vindictive. Parents feared for the brainwashing of their children. By the end, as Iraqi troops besieged Mosul, the militants hanged suspected spies from lampposts, and residents were cut off from the world. The woman's killing in Mosul's Sama district shook to the core those in the crowd who were forced to watch. Several witnesses described to the Associated Press how the woman and her alleged lover were paraded blindfolded through the streets. The militants summoned everyone that they could find to watch. It was in August, after the militants had lost strongholds in other parts of Iraq and Syria, prompting them to heighten their repression. Wow. Can you imagine? Anyway, listen, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the, let's see here. Let's talk about Tillerson. You know what? With Tillerson, Trump keeps betting big on business leaders. So we'll see what happens with that. We'll tell you more about it right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And we're talking news. You know what? With Tillerson, Trump keeps betting big on business leaders. You know, in selecting ExxonMobil's CEO, Rex Tillerson, as his Secretary of State, President-elect Donald Trump is making the same bet that he asked voters to make on him, that a track record of business accomplishment will translate into success in government. Indeed, Trump, the first billionaire businessman to win the White House, is broadly testing that proposition across his administration. He's tapped fast food executive Andy Puzder to lead the Labor Department, billionaire investor Wilbur Ross for Commerce, financier Stephen Mnuchin as Secretary of the Treasury, and Goldman Sachs President Gary Cohn as his top economic advisor. But he's taking perhaps his biggest chance on Tillerson, pulling an executive from the rough and tumble world of oil production into the delicate arena of international diplomacy. If confirmed by the Senate, and his deep ties to Russia make that no sure thing. Tillerson will be at the center of discussions over the Syrian civil war, the intractable pursuit of peace in the Middle East, the potential conflicts with China, given Trump's early questioning of long-standing U.S. policy toward Beijing. To Trump, the deals Tillerson has struck around the world for Exxon and the relationships that he has built doing so are ample preparation for the challenges that he would face as the nation's top diplomat, while Tillerson's ties with Russian President Vladimir Putin are drawing scrutiny on Capitol Hill. Trump has had good things to say about Putin, too, and Tillerson's connection doesn't appear to have given him any pause. Rex knows how to manage a global enterprise, which is crucial to running a successful State Department, and his relationships with leaders all over the world are second to none, Trump said today. He's been making a similar case about himself all year as he sought to persuade voters that a real estate mogul and political novice had the skills to serve as president. He spent little time trying to show voters that his skills extended beyond the boardroom. Instead, he argued that experience was plenty. As Trump set about putting his administration together, people close to him say that he was quickly drawn to the idea of elite business leaders filling the cabinet, along with those who have had success in areas outside of the politics. He tapped three retired generals for top jobs: James Mattis to head the Pentagon, John Kelly for the Department of Homeland Security, and Michael Flynn as his national security advisor. While business leaders have served in cabinet posts under both Republican and Democratic presidents, the scope of private sector influence in Trump's burgeoning team is a stark contrast to modern predecessors. Most of President Barack Obama's cabinet secretaries had public sector backgrounds, though Interior Secretary Sally Jewell served as CEO of the retail company REI, I guess it is. And Veterans Administration Secretary Robert McDonald is the retired CEO of Procter & Gamble. Well, you know what? Everybody's going to be critical because that's just the way they are. But the truth is, let's wait and see. Give them a chance to get something done. We might be pleasantly surprised. Somebody might have to say, wow, I was wrong. You know what? With Tillerson, Trump keeps betting on big business leaders, and that's just the way that it's going to be. You know what? You got to hope that Trump is right. I certainly do, you know. I can tell you one thing: Trump invites the Senate to clash with Tillerson on his state nomination. That's certainly going to happen, no question about that. Trump's business ties around the world. Well, you know what? Is that so bad? You know, everybody thinks about self-serving, but you know, Donald Trump says that his business is great, and you'll have to trust him on that. One of the few things an outsider can know for sure is that it's a complex and opaque hodgepodge of an empire scattered around the globe. Trump in May disclosed holdings in about 500 companies in at least 25 countries. But many of the 500 have no business operations. They're shells set up to hold stakes in other companies, possibly to provide legal and tax protection. The disclosure document ran about 104 pages, but they revealed precious few details about how much each entity has borrowed, their profits, or their purposes. The details matter because government ethics experts note the possibility that Trump might be tempted to shape regulations, taxes, and foreign policy to enrich himself or his business partners. Now, foreign governments could create plenty of trouble, too. They could seek to influence him by rewarding or punishing his business interests in their countries. Trump has planned a news conference for Thursday on the future of his business, but announced today, Monday, that he would postpone it until next month. Trump's transition team spokesman Sean Spicer said the legal team needs more time to work out a plan so that proper protocols are in place. In a tweet late Monday night, the president-elect added that no deals will be done while he is in office and that he would leave management of his company to two of his children, Donald Jr., 38, and Eric, 32, along with executives. As in his previous statements, he left open the possibility of retaining his ownership stake. What makes the situation so perilous is that no modern U.S. president has owned so much, had it spread so far around the globe, and disclosed so little. Still, plenty is known about his company, the Trump Organization. Well, we'll see what happens. You know what? That's just the way it's got to be. I mean, do they really, you know, the Constitution actually provided for all of this, so I'm not sure I understand why it's going to be that big a thing. Well, I'll give you one last thing to ponder on before we take our next break, and that is an Oklahoma court tosses abortion law on hospital privileges. The Oklahoma Supreme Court today threw out a law requiring abortion clinics to have doctors with admitting privileges at nearby hospitals, saying efforts to portray the measure as protecting women's health are a guise. The law would require a doctor with admitting privileges at a hospital within 30 miles be present for any abortion. The court found that it violates both the U.S. and Oklahoma constitutions. The U.S. Supreme Court earlier this year struck down a similar provision in Texas. Under the guise of the protection of women's health, Oklahoma Justice Joseph Watt wrote, "The law creates an undue burden on a woman's access to abortion, violating protected rights under our federal constitution," referring specifically to the case in Texas. Well, there we go. News is over. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about our favorite subject, the IRS loses. And the first case up is transfers of property were not to evade tax. And I'm going to tell you all about that right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:24 p.m. Pacific time. It's currently 65 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, that's down from 74 on its way to 49 degrees. We'll give that some thought. You know what? And if you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network, thank you very much. But I want you to know that in New York City, it's 42 degrees and mostly cloudy. And if you're in Chicago, Illinois, hang on to your hats and put on your coats. It's 14 degrees and it is clear. But right now, let's talk about something more pleasant. I want to put a smile on your face. We're going to talk about the IRS Loses. And our first case is transfers of property were not to evade tax. David Jones owed back taxes to the IRS when he transferred a home that he owned to his mother and a warehouse that he owned to a corporation that he owned. Now, 6 years later, he declared bankruptcy and sought to have his still unpaid taxes discharged. The IRS said that the transfers were an attempt to evade tax collection, making his taxes non-dischargeable. When he went to court, this is what the judge said. Jones explained that he had purchased the house for his mother to live in and that she had, in fact, made all of the payments on it. Similarly, he had purchased the warehouse for his business's use, and it always had been operated by the business. So the transfers did not have a tax avoidance purpose, and his taxes absolutely are dischargeable. Go figure, right? All right. How about this? The IRS loses. Theft loss, actually, is deductible when it is reasonably certain. Sounds weird, but listen to this. A couple was victimized by a jewelry scam that cost them several $1 million. Now, complicated lawsuits and insurance claims resulted lasting several years. Now, they claimed a theft loss deduction, but the IRS disallowed it, saying that the couple was entitled to no deduction until the year in which all of their claims for reimbursement were actually resolved and their last recovery efforts had been completed or concluded. They protested. They went to tax court. This is what the judge said. The IRS is wrong. A theft loss is deductible when reasonably certain. So the couple could make the deduction in proportions over multiple years as the probable outcome of their various reimbursement claims became apparent. So shame on the IRS, as usual. How about one more case the IRS loses? Driving to jobs away from home is absolutely deductible. Here's the thing. David Lease was a union millwright in Cumberland, Maryland. Now, he took daily job assignments from his union at distant locations, averaged about 100 miles a day driving to them, and deducted his driving costs. Well, the IRS's objection was this. Only driving to temporary jobs away from home is deductible, and one's tax home is where one's primary work location is. Now, since Lease didn't work in Cumberland, it wasn't his tax home, so he couldn't deduct driving from it to distant jobs. Well, he went to the judge. This is what the judge said. Lease had long worked in Cumberland until jobs there grew scarce, and that made it his tax home. Each of the distant jobs that he traveled to was temporary, so his driving to them was absolutely deductible. The IRS just keeps trying to get away with their baloney, but you know what? Thank God we can get justice that the big guy can't always win. Now, you've heard me talk about being a fly on the wall when the IRS is doing stuff. That's where we're at right now with this segment that we call Inside the IRS. It's very much like the Twilight Zone. Well, you know what? Now, these are not actual tax court cases, but these are things that the IRS is doing and saying and actions that they're taking that you can use, to your benefit if you know about them. Here's the first thing up. How do IRS agents determine that you have not reported all of your income? You ever wonder about that? Well, you know what? A common method that the IRS uses is to simply add up all of the deposits in your bank and brokerage accounts during the year. The presumption is that all deposits represent income unless you can establish that the money came from a gift or a loan. Now, a revenue agent will also review credit card and bank loan statements to determine whether or not if the payments made during the year to reduce the balance were made from sources other than your bank accounts. But there's a trap here. The agent may want to visit your home to determine if there's a new appliance or furniture and to look at your wardrobe. Was unreported cash used to purchase these items? The safest bet here? The IRS absolutely must obtain a search warrant, which absolutely never happens in a civil case. So don't give a revenue agent permission to tour your home. It's none of their doggone business. I'd have said it different, but you know what? I get in trouble. How about this one? Tax-exempt organizations in politics. This is going to irk you a little bit, maybe not, I don't know. To enjoy the benefits of being a tax-exempt organization, for example, a religious institution or a school, an organization is prohibited from participating in or intervening in any political campaign on behalf of or in opposition to any candidate for public office. Now, in reality, tax-exempt organizations have been actively supporting or working against certain politicians. The IRS has been under pressure from Congress to do something about this abuse. However, guidance recently issued in a revenue ruling explains that voter education is permitted as long as it's not biased. Well, you know what? That opens the door to a lot of things. So, talk about opening the door. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to be with our own Sean LaFave and his Geared for Wellness Corner. And I've got to tell you, I have absolutely, positively no idea what Sean and I are going to talk about for the next hour, but I can guarantee you this. You better not leave us now, because it's going to be interesting and you'll be sorry if you do. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Leinberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from his personal meditation lounge in Orange County, California, a professional dedicated to conquering many chronic conditions from autism to weight loss and everything in between. The nationally recognized wellness coach, consultant, and lecturer, Sean LaFave, and his Geared for Wellness Corner.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:34 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 65 degrees and sunny here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's down from 74 on its way to 49 degrees. And you know what? If you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in Cleveland, Ohio, well, man, it's cold. It's 72 degrees and it's overcast. But you know what? It could be worse. You could be in Wichita, Kansas, where it's 28 degrees, partly cloudy, and God only knows what's going to happen other than we're going to warm things up. From a resident in Wichita right now with our own Sean LaFave in his Geared for Wellness Corner. Hey, Sean, buddy, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Robert. How you doing today?
I am doing fantabulous.
Awesome. Now, did I hear you? I'm pretty sure I misheard you, but did you just say it's 72 degrees in Cleveland, Ohio?
No, I said it's 32 degrees in Cleveland, Ohio, and 28 degrees in Wichita, Kansas, where you be.
Yeah. It's cold here. You know, I say that, you know, but it's, you know, I was, earlier today, someone posted a picture on Facebook, and, you know, it was kind of like a little bit of snow and kind of the roads were wet. This is what my friends in Kentucky, you know, say is horrible weather. And then the picture just below it is basically nothing but just snow. Like, I mean, you can see there's a bridge going over where, like, there's probably a highway there, but now it's covered with snow. There's one set of tracks, like someone drove a 4-wheel drive truck through, and it says, but in North Dakota, it snowed a little bit, but the highways look great, you know. And so I was, you know, I lived in North Dakota for 3.5 years, and
it never looked great, did it?
It never looks great. You know, it doesn't matter what time of year it was. You know, it was funny. So I went on the Weather Channel just to see and this was this afternoon. I looked, and it was 7 degrees currently there. Tomorrow, the high is supposed to be -1 degree. Is going to be the high temperature tomorrow. And on Saturday, I looked at the forecast. On Saturday, the forecasted high, the high temperature for Saturday is -11 degrees.
So, Sean, here's the deal. I'm going to give you some advice. I hope you take it. Do not go to North Dakota over the weekend.
I am going to take that advice. Absolutely. I'm going to hear that 100%. I've had enough. You know, the cold, we talked about this before, you know, the coldest temperature I ever saw was 41 below. And that's not, the wind chill was actually 102 below, but it was 41 below zero there in North Dakota. And I just, you know, I don't understand why people stay there.
How do you even survive that? I mean, if without a wind chill, I mean, I got to tell you, I've been in 30 below temperatures without a wind chill, and it hurts. You can't breathe. It hurts. You think your face is going to fall off. I don't know how people can endure this stuff.
Yeah, I don't know either. Because you'll literally go for, I mean, I've seen where you'll go for several days in a row and the high temperature won't get above zero for days. And you'll go for weeks and it won't get above freezing. And it's just, you know, I don't know how people endure. I mean, you when you're there in it, obviously I didn't have a choice. I was in the Air Force, and you know, you bundle up. You know, and it's so cold that you know, if we would go out for a flight and come back at the end of the day, and your car wouldn't start because it's so cold outside that the oil is so thick that the starter motor can't turn the engine over. You have to just, you know, you have to find a way to plug your car in. If there's not a plug, you know, you actually, no. I've been up into Montana and Wyoming and places like that. And
I've not been to North Dakota, but I'm assuming it's the same. When you park there, they have electrical outlets so you can keep the engine block warm, don't they?
Yeah. We're, you know, anywhere people who park outside, you know, whether it's, you know, especially mostly if it's places where you're going to be parking overnight, like this, you know, the mall parking lots and stuff obviously don't have it. Like where I went to work, you know, even on the base, they didn't have it because most of the time you're not parking overnight. But at our dorms, there was you know, it looked like almost like a parking meter, you know, just a metal rod sticking out of the ground with an outlet on top of it. And in the wintertime, you plugged your car in overnight. And if you didn't, your car was not going to start in the morning.
Yeah, and that's where you took the oil dipstick out and you put that stick into the oil, right?
That's one way you can do it. But the way because it's a permanent thing. You don't want to have to be opening the hood every time. Oh. And so what they do is they have in your engine block there's I don't know, it's probably about the size of, I want to say, a 50-cent piece of, maybe it's about that size roughly. Mm-hmm. They're called freeze plugs. And
sure, I'm familiar with them.
And so that way, if you forget to put enough antifreeze in there and it does freeze up, that it knocks that freeze plug out instead of cracking your block. Well, what you do is you go in and you knock out one of those freeze plugs, and then they have a heating coil that actually goes in there, and it's you just screw it down tight, and it's a permanent fixture. And then you got the cord that you just stick out through the front of your grill of your car, so that way when it's time to plug it in, you just walk over and you take that cord, you just plug it right into the outlet there.
It's interesting when you and I know it's not part of the show, but you and I are talking every once in a while. You and I'll start talking about some experience that we've had, and it's really interesting that as you travel around, the things the different situations that people endure just because of the geography that they're in.
Yeah, it really is. And of course, as a person who's lived all over the country, it's a very different experience depending on where you live. Everything from the clothes that you wear, to the kind of car that you can drive. Obviously, when I'm down in Newport Beach, California, I see Bentleys and I see Ferraris and a lot of Porsches and all kinds of sports cars that are real low to the ground. But when you're in the Midwest and it snows on a regular basis, you don't drive stuff like that.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting because if you're in Southern California, layering means nothing to you. But if you happen to live in one of those Northeast states, layering means a whole lot to you.
Yeah, it absolutely does. Yeah, and you just learn. The UK. Well, I'm going to put on I got my shirt. Maybe I'll put a sweater on top of that, and then I'll put a coat on top of that, and that way, you can layer depending on if it's going to be, because it might be 10 degrees when you walk out the door in the morning, but by the middle of the day, it's all the way up to 35 degrees, and so you don't want that big jacket on.
Yeah, that's for sure. Hey, I saw something in the news today. This may be something about. If not, you're going to certainly find it interesting. And they were talking about the death tolls in the United States and worldwide, actually, but primarily in the United States. And they were talking about guns, and they were talking about heart attacks, and they were talking about HIV, and they were talking about all these different things. And the single largest cause of death in the United States is heroin overdoses. Beats all the rest of them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually, it's not just heroin, it's drug overdoses in general. But heroin is part of that. But actually,
but this particular study was heroin.
Really? It's the number one cause of all deaths?
Yep.
That's new to me. I'm shocked. Are they talking just straight up heroin or heroin derivatives as well?
Well, it could be derivatives as well. That I don't know.
Yeah, I would guess derivatives because
I'm guessing, when you get heroin and they start to, I don't know what the term is, when they want to break it up or dilute it or whatever they're doing. And sometimes they use this fentanyl, and the fentanyl kills you.
Yeah. Yeah, our death rate in this country from drug use is astronomical. And from what I've read, the vast majority of the deaths now, accidental overdose deaths, are caused by pharmaceutical prescription.
Actually, it's interesting that you would say that, and I think I'm going to support what you're saying. Part of what this thing said was that people submit themselves to these drug rehab clinics, right? And they get weaned off of these drug, whatever drug they're habitually taking. And what winds up happening is that they've been off of these drugs for a couple, 2-3 months, whatever they might be. And when they get back on the street and they fall back into the same old habit, they think they can take the same amount of drugs that they were taking before they went into rehab. And they can't because the body's not used to it anymore, and it kills them.
Oh, sure. They built up a kind of acclimated to it, if you will. They, a resistance to it. And so they have to take more and more and more to get a high, and all of a sudden, they're clean and it's out of their system. And so they Oh, that makes sense. I never even thought about that, but that makes perfectly good sense. Yeah, you go out and, well, I had to take, 4 of these before to get a high, so I'll just take 4 now, and boom, the person just overdosed and killed themselves. It's interesting.
Hey, I got to tell you a story. I had a busy weekend, and on Saturday night our neighbor was having a Christmas party, and so Marlene and I went over there and had a great time over there. The next morning, Sunday morning, got up and we were meeting John Hansen, who does our wine and food program on Mondays. John's mother-in-law, Lucy Flores, was celebrating her 75th birthday. So John invited Marlene and I to celebrate with him, and we went to the Anaheim warehouse, or White House, and we had a really nice gourmet lunch and did the whole nine yards. And then from there, John had arranged for us to go to Disneyland, because John works for Disney at the Napa Rose. And so what he arranged for was this private tour with this private tour guide, who you probably heard about that kind of stuff. And it was just, it was John and Raina, Marlene and I, Raina's sister and Raina's mother on this tour. And we started the tour about 2:00 or so in the afternoon. They walked us out of the hotel right into the California Adventure and then across over to Disneyland. And we were doing, and the beautiful thing about this tour, they ask you what you want to do, and they have all the history and stuff behind the things that are going on. But there are no lines for you. They take you in the exit of everything, and it's not like those, you hear about those fast pass things. It's not like that. You go in the exit, there is no line. You walk right in, get right on the ride, and go. and you can imagine how slick that is. That's really cool. So we did that, and then we had gone a number of places. Then we wound up wanting to take about an hour and a half or so break, and we did that because we wanted to get out of our Levi's and tennis shoes and things, because we had a reservation for dinner that we had to wear dress slacks and shoes and a jacket. We had reservations at the Club 33. I don't know if you're familiar with that. And Club 33.
I know, I've heard of it, but I've never been. I don't know anything about it. But I've heard.
Club 33 is a members-only exclusive club at Disneyland, the only place at Disneyland where they serve alcohol. It's a 5-star gourmet restaurant, and it's you wouldn't even know it was there. There's just this door in New Orleans Square that has the address 33 on it. And it's called Club 33. So we had a late reservation for dinner. It was about 9:00, and we're there, and it's a 5-course meal that you get, and you have a lot of choices. You choose all the different things, and then basically when we got done there, it was about I want to say 1:00 in the morning. Disneyland closed at midnight. 1:00 in the morning, and John happened to know the chef there. Andrew Sutton, who's the executive chef, wasn't there, but his assistant was there. His name is Joey, and we were invited into the kitchen for a tour of the kitchen at 1:00 in the morning as they're scrubbing this place up, right? Unbelievable what they're doing. And I've never been in a commercial kitchen like that. It was unbelievable. It's fascinating. Took us into the refrigerator, which I didn't stay there very long. That was cold. Anyway, so by the time we're done, it's 2:00 in the morning, and there must have been, I want to say, the total party that we had was maybe 8 people, because there were a couple people there that John knew didn't join us for dinner, but he saw them at another table, so they joined us. At 2:00 in the morning, we're outside in Disneyland all by ourselves, except for the guys that are cleaning the streets and washing the stuff, but the lights are still on. The music is still playing. It was eerie, but it was magnificent, fantastic.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be pretty cool. That
was really, really slick, And to get out of Disneyland, because the front gates are all closed, we had to make arrangement for somebody to meet us at the front gate to let us out.
Wow. Yeah, that's some VIP treatment right there. That's pretty nice.
That was really, really slick. It's just a great, great deal. Great evening. It was just, I just thought you'd find it interesting.
Well, that's fascinating. That would be. I love experiences like that where you do something that that very, very few people ever get to experience something like that. Now, tell me, it's not earth shattering. It's not going to change your life, but it's just fun. It's neat. You go, man, I got to do something that the average person will never get to do.
Yeah.
That I love experiences like, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was just phenomenal. Just phenomenal. So listen, what the heck are we talking about today?
Speaking of John,
mm-hmm.
And his show on wine and food,
mm-hmm.
I just recently was introduced to, and I just kind of started doing some research on this. There's a company out there. They're called Dry Farm Wines.
Oh, really?
And they're very unique. The people who I know who are real big into the organic world and the health world and natural healthcare and so on. I've been hearing a lot of buzz about this Dry Farm Wines, and so I finally decided to check it out. And it's a place where you go and you can have a shipment sent to you once a month or once every other month, and they'll send you either 6 bottles or 12 bottles, and they pick them. You can choose if you want red or white or half and half or whatever. But they choose the wine. But what they do is they find wines from all over the world, and they make sure that the wines are, I guess you could say, as healthy as a wine could possibly be. And it was really fascinating to read. So what they do is they make sure that, one, because when you make wine, of course, you put the yeast in, and it ferments, mm-hmm. and it eats up the sugar. And of course, the cheaper wines, there's going to be excess amount of sugar, and so they're really sweet, so on and so forth. And so some wines still have a significant amount of sugar in them, mm-hmm. but for dry wines, they have this whole criteria that they want their wines to fall under. And one of the things is that it is statistically sugar-free or carb-free. There is no carbs at all in the wine. Mm-hmm. That they make sure that the wines are all less than 1 gram of total sugars per liter. So if you have a liter bottle, there's less than 1 gram of sugar in there. Mm. And so that way they make sure that the yeast has fully fermented all of the sugars in the wine. So that way, if you're drinking a wine, that like if someone's on a ketogenic diet, for instance, they want to have some alcohol, but they don't want something that's going to, increase their sugar intake. Well, they can drink these wines. And so they're great for dieters. The other thing that they do is they test every single wine. First of all, they make sure that the wine is either organic or what is called biodynamic, which biodynamic is a step above organic. They use it's kind of like they build almost a little ecosystem where you've got the grapes growing, but there's chickens running around, so the chickens are the pesticide. The mm-hmm. chickens actually eat the bugs and they poop and they fertilize, and so you've got this whole like ecosystem going on, and so it's even a step above organic. So it's either organic or biodynamic. And then one of the things they do is they test it for either mycotoxins or mold, or actually they test it for both. But they make sure that it's either mold-free or mycotoxin-free. And so that way, that's one of the things. I don't know if you knew that. I imagine you do. But I don't know that everyone knows this, but when the waiter brings you your wine and they uncork it for you, of course, one of the things you do besides swish it around and take a taste and make sure it tastes fine is you smell the cork. And the reason for smelling the cork is to see if it has a mold smell. That's where that tradition comes from. And so, you want to make sure that, okay, good, it smells clean, it smells fresh, there's no mold. If there's a moldy odor, then you know that the wine has a bit of mold going in it. You send it back and get another bottle. So they test everything. They make sure that the stuff is mold-free. And of course, mycotoxins are just any type of toxins produced by a fungus. There's no fungal infection in the wine as well. So they make sure that they're clean. And they also test for sulfites. Mm-hmm. Of course, we know that they're organic, and actually, even organic wines, a lot of them they have added sulfites, I believe, but they have to put in there no added sulfites, or they could have still added a sulfite or sulfates to it. Mm-hmm. And so they test it for sulfites. They want to make sure that their standard does not exceed 75 parts per million of sulfites in the wine. So chances are pretty good. All wine has naturally occurring sulfites. You can't get wine without sulfites.
Right.
But the reason why they add sulfites to it is because instead of going through and picking out all the grapes by hand, you just throw all the grapes and you mash them up, and the ones that are kind of maybe a little rotten or, kind of started to turn a little bit, those sulfites help overcome that by adding extra sulfites into it. You can use bad grapes and still make wine that doesn't taste bad, and the sulfites balance that out. So what they want is some people are very sensitive to sulfites. If they get too much, like a lot of people say, I get a really bad headache from drinking wine. Well, for a lot of people, it's actually because of the sulfites in it. And of course, again, it's these are considered diet friendly. So that if you've still got all the benefits. Let's say it's a red wine, you still got all the resveratrol that goes along with it, and so on.
Well, it's interesting, Sean. If you're familiar with the Atkins diet, the low carb diet, and there's a lot of different diets that are low carb, but it's a high protein, low carb diet. And with that diet, you can drink. I mean, you can have highballs, you can have wine, you can have liquor. You can't have the sugary ones, but but you can have those because there's no carbs. Or they're no or low,
Yeah. The red wines, the drier red wines especially are very low in carbohydrates. And so, a lot of people on a diet will. But one of the things that they even talk about, that's another thing that the dry farm wines does is they actually test for alcohol content, because even though the winemaker, they know on average what their wine has as far as alcohol content, so they put it on the label. Well, that there's no testing, there's no there's no standard that the winemakers are being held to. So if they put on there that their wine has 15% alcohol, well, it could actually have 20% alcohol, and there's really no there's no government agency or whatever that's testing this to make sure that they're holding to their standards. So one of the things that the dry farm wine does is they make sure that the wine actually has the same amount of alcohol as it says on the label, and they actually only choose wines that are no more than 12.5% alcohol by volume.
So, Sean.
That's right. We're talking about wine, so you naturally was one of John.
But the dry farm wines, is that a brick and mortar wine company, or is that a wine that you buy on the internet, or how do you get a hold of those?
Yeah, they're in, I believe they're in California, but you would just go online. You go to dryfarmwines.com, and you can read all about them. They've got a phone number you can call. I haven't talked to anybody there, but you would just go on and they just ship it to you. So I believe they do have a brick and mortar business. I just don't know. I believe it's somewhere in California. I'm just not sure exactly where. So they do have, obviously they have to bring in the stuff and ship it. I'm assuming they have a warehouse. Yeah. So they don't produce their own wine, but they find wines from all over the world and ship it to them.
I see. I'm getting you. They're like a broker who is facilitating getting the right kind of wines. Hey, listen, we got to take a break. When we come back, you want to continue this conversation, or you got some place to go with this?
Yeah, I've got some pretty interesting stuff. There's a new bill that's being proposed in California right now that I wanted to talk about, and so let's talk. It's called SB 18, and matter of fact, I'll email. I should have emailed this to you before. I just decided to talk about it a little bit ago. I'll email it to you so you can look at it before we get on the air.
Actually, don't, because it's going to interfere with the equipment that I've got running. Everything that I could get that email on.
Gotcha.
So you and I will talk about it. There won't be a problem at all. We're talking to our own Sean LaFave in the Geared for Wellness Corner. We're going to talk about Senate Bill 18 here in the state of California as soon as we come back. I don't know what that is, but we'll find out. You don't know what it is either until Sean tells us. So we'll be right back. Don't go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Leinberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:01 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 65 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. That's on its way down to 50 degrees. And if you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you happen to be in Paris, France, well, congratulations, and it's 41 degrees and clear outside. And if you're in Rome, Italy, it's 45 degrees and it's clear outside. And by the way, it's also 1:02 a.m. there. So I'm guessing you're having a great time and on your way home listening to us in the car or something. Hey, Sean, we're going to talk about Senate Bill 18 here in the sunny state of Southern California. Not Southern California, of California.
It's the whole state of California.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before I go and get into SB 18, Senate Bill 18, it's being introduced by Senator Pan. Now, Senator Pan is the same senator who introduced and pushed through SB 277, which is basically mandates vaccinations for all children in the state of California, that unless your child has a medical exemption, which is extremely difficult to get, you've got to have a compromised immune system or a known allergy or have had some sort of a severe reaction to vaccines. It's pretty tough to get a medical exemption. So unless you have a medical exemption, your children are required by law to get vaccinated in the state of California. If they don't, you are not allowed to send your children to public or private schools. You're only allowed to homeschool. That is the only option available. And so, of course, obviously there's a lot of us out there who are saying, this is a violation of basic rights and so on and so forth. And you're basically forcing a medical treatment on to our children, for reasons that we would consider to be, financial profit. So Senator Pan is already not a popular guy with a lot of people. Now, so he pushes through SB 18, which when you at first blush you look at it, you're like, oh, this is a good thing. It is a bill that is to protect children's rights. Matter of fact, I'll just read it. The legislator finds and declares that all children and youth, regardless of any of those gender, race, nationality, so on and so forth, sexual orientation, on and on, have inherent rights that entitle them to protection, special care, and assistance, including but not limited to the following. And so number one is the right to parents, guardians, or caregivers who act in their best interest. Now, when you and I hear that, we go, well, of course, that would seem common sense. Of course, kids should have a right to that. But the part where a lot of people are getting tripped up by this, they're going, okay, first of all, we don't trust Senator Pan. You know, this guy's taking big money from Big Pharma and got this vaccine bill pushed through. And now what is his intention here for pushing this through? And so we go, okay, so the kids have a right to parents, guardians, or caregivers. And then the second part that says who act in their best interest, not who are allowed to decide what's in the best interest of the child, but who act in their best interest. What it doesn't say is who decides what's in the best interest for the child. Is it the lawmakers? So they decide, you know what? I don't like what you're doing with your child. This is not in the child's best interest. You either need to stop, change it, do something else, or we're going to take your kids away. And this is where a lot of people are saying that this is opening up a door to the government coming in and really controlling how you raise your children. It says they have the right to form healthy attachments with adults responsible for their care and well-being. Again, you know, who defines what care and well-being
Sean,
is?
are you saying that this man is proposing a bill to become law that precludes the rights and privileges of parents?
Right. This is basically saying, look, the children have rights, and it doesn't say anything specific about taking away the parental rights, but that's the underlying theme that you seem to see here, is that, you know, the parents are not the ones that are choosing what's the best care for them, what's in their best interest, what is considered like number 3, the right to live in a safe and healthy environment. You know,
Jerry Brown has never recovered from that, that fall on his head when he was born.
Yeah. There's a lot of people who agree with that statement. And you know, but this whole bill, it says that kids have the right to social and emotional well-being. So if your kid doesn't have social or emotional well-being, does that mean that you as a parent have failed, and that the state can take the kid away and give them the social and emotional well-being by, say, putting them on Prozac or some other cocaine derivative drug? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, so there's a lot of doors that are being opened here. The kids have the right to opportunities to attain optimal cognitive, physical, and social development. I don't even know what that, I mean, I know what those words mean, but opportunities to attain optimal cognitive, what is optimal? Does that mean that everybody has to become a doctor? Does everyone have to become a professional athlete? Does everyone need to be a great public speaker? You know, social development, physical, cognitive, that they don't just, it's not good enough that your kid makes it through school. They have to attain optimal cognitive, physical, and social development. They have a right to that.
So, Sean, this is a bill that he's actually presenting to the Senate. It hasn't gotten to the governor's desk yet, right?
He literally just proposed this on December 5th. This is brand new. I mean, the ink's
so it's got to go from the Senate to the Assembly, and then from the Assembly to the governor. Have you heard anything? What are the chances of this thing actually becoming a law?
I don't know, but I would have never guessed that the forced vaccination law would have made it through either. That one was that one was fought hard, and it made it through. I'm reading this and I'm going, these are all things that we want for our children, but what we don't want is the government to decide how our children
we don't
to this point. You know, and I don't want to read through the rest of them. The right to appropriate quality education and life skills leading to self-sufficiency in adulthood. Well, I mean, how do you even know? A lot of kids go through great schools.
Yeah, well, I'm a proponent of access to education. I would support that, but this bill doesn't sound like that.
It sounds like the government there's an underlying theme of control in this whole thing.
Yeah.
That the kids have the right to appropriate quality health care. Now, there have been plenty of cases across this country where the government said, you need to give your child this type of health treatment. And kids have been taken away from their parents because the parents say, no, we don't want to put our child through this particular form of treatment. And so now the government is saying that the kids have a right to appropriate quality health care. So as soon as, imagine someone like me who says, I don't want to vaccinate my kids, and Senator Pam just sent through a bill that says, no, you have to. Is that what they consider appropriate quality health care? Now, is that...
Sean, are they under that clause appropriate health care? And my mind is going in another direction now because there are some religions that won't allow, blood transfusions or emergency surgeries or aspirin for that matter. Is this bill forcing even people who have religious beliefs against these things to go against their religions as well, to provide this as not a choice but a mandate for children?
Right. Yeah. All it says is that kids have the right to appropriate quality health care. Period. That's the entire sentence. And so obviously the question is who determines what appropriate and who determines what's quality. I think sending my kid to go get a chiropractic adjustment and having vitamins is enough, during flu season, but what I read into that, appropriate quality health care is, someone is going to say, no, your kids need to have this drug. Maybe if let's say you've got a kid who's, these schools love attaching ADHD to kids because there are schools that actually get kickbacks from the drugs that are sold to these kids. And I know that's just as scary as can be, but to think that, if my child is, got some behavioral issues, which I did when I was a kid, I remember as a kid, I used to take sugar cubes to school with me when I was in 6th grade, and I would keep them in my desk and I would eat sugar cubes. Of course I was hyperactive. I was eating sugar all day, and so where someone like me might go, well, there's a behavioral issue, but we need to fix that with diet.
When I was in school, I had a similar thing going on, but I didn't use sugar cubes. I took oranges that, because I was raised on a dairy. I took oranges that I injected with vodka, and I took them in a big sack. And when me and my buddies would meet for lunch, sometimes, I went to a parochial high school, and they couldn't figure out what the hell happened to us.
These guys got loopy over all they were doing was eating fresh fruits and vegetables. What happened? Oh my God,
that's a true story too.
Not trust me, I believe it. We kind of did similar things too. We didn't inject it into oranges, but we bought stuff into school. But so they have a right to appropriate quality health care, and this is the intent of the legislature in enacting this act is to expand and codify the Bill of Rights for Children and Youth of California, created by Assembly Concurrent Resolution number 80. And it goes on to talk about that. But what they're going to do is is the intent that by January 1st of 2022, so, we're talking almost 5 years from now, that they will enact appropriate legislation to develop and put forth research-based policy solutions that will ensure the Bill of Rights for children and youth. And I'm thinking, how do you do...
Sean, I've got to tell you, I would just hope that we had, and I doubt that we have this, because what I'm going to say is diametrically opposed to what I would use as a definition for a political legislator. But in any event, I would just hope and pray that they would never pass a bill like this with such broad missing elements in it, and not defining each part of what's going on here. This is a bad bill.
Yeah, this is a horrible, horrible bill. But to think that they want to put forth research-based policy solutions, for this Bill of Rights for Children and Youth, I'm going, who's going to do the research?
Yeah.
It's very easy to do research and come up with the conclusions that you want to come up with. That's not hard to do. So the research is not out there for what they're wanting to do. Things like, and I'm sure the research is going to be well, what is quality health care? What is a safe and healthy environment?
Yeah, is that the right of the doctor to make the decision to pull the plug or not to pull the plug on because of monetary issues? Is that the right of the doctor to insist that a patient who is religiously opposed, or their parents are religious, even a patient are religiously opposed to surgical procedures or blood transfers or medications, that they can be forced to do that? There's a lot of bad things in this bill.
Yeah,
and that's not to mean that I'm opposed to those things, but I still think that a human being should have the right to make their own decisions.
And I agree with you. I think of, I love this example because it worked. But if it didn't, I'd probably still be in hot water over this one. But my son came down. I think we've talked about this on the show, so I won't labor this one too long. But my son came down with he got strep throat, which of course strep throat produces it produces a toxin. It's a biotoxin, and that biotoxin produces scarlet fever. In some individuals, obviously not everybody. A lot of people get strep throat, but they don't get scarlet fever. Well, my son ended up getting scarlet fever. Now, scarlet fever, as you know, if you leave it unchecked, it can turn into rheumatic fever, and rheumatic fever can do permanent heart damage, stuff you don't recover from. Right. Well, the vast majority of people, and probably Senator Pan, who's proposing this bill, would probably say that, quality health care, what's in the best interest of the child would be take the kid down to the doctor, get the antibiotics in his system, and make sure you kill all the stuff off so that he doesn't get rheumatic fever. That would be the standard answer from, probably everybody in an entire room that you fill. There's very few people who I know who would do what I did. And that is, I have nutrition that I use to treat patients or treat clients for biotoxins. Well, scarlet fever is produced by a biotoxin, so my thought process is, you get rid of the biotoxins and you fix the scarlet fever. And I even consulted with another physician that is, a master of all this stuff. And he said the same thing. He goes, I would do exactly what you said, give them these different products, blah, 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 all the stuff that we do for biotoxin. And he was better within 3 days. He was totally fine. The scarlet fever was gone. I mean, he had...
And Sean, that is fast. I mean, 3 days, scarlet fever, that's fast, pal.
Yeah, he had red spots over his entire body. He looked horrible, and he had almost all of the classic symptoms of scarlet fever. But
I'm going to take you on another route, because something you don't know about me is that when I was a young boy, I did have rheumatic fever, diagnosed with rheumatic fever. It's a horrible, horrible disease. You just lose all of your strength, and all of a sudden it's a heart valve issue. And I wound up in bed, could not walk, could not move. If I had to go to the bathroom, I had to be carried to the bathroom. And I was in bed for over a year, and then I was in a wheelchair for 6 months before the doctor would allow me to start to get up and move around. Now, the doctor took exemplary care of me, and I wound up getting out of there with not even with a heart murmur. If I don't tell doctors that I had it, they would never know.
Wow, that's amazing.
So, I mean, I can talk to you a long time about rheumatic fever, having lived through it. That's a scary thing. And the thing is I was just a young 8-year-old kid. My mom and dad had to be the ones that were afraid, because it was a death sentence at that time.
Yeah, I imagine I would be terrified. And to me, if I wasn't confident in how I was treating his stuff, would I even hesitate to give him antibiotics? Of course not. Yeah. He's never had antibiotics in his entire life for anything, ever. Yeah. But when it comes to the possibility of getting rheumatic fever, going through what you went through, it's amazing that you recovered, because most people don't. Most people have that heart valve problem is lifelong. They never recover from it. Yeah. And like you said, and it could be a death sentence too. It could actually kill you. So would I even bat an eyelash to give my son antibiotics to prevent something? Not even close. But I knew that what I was doing was going to work, because I used it for other biotoxic issues.
Well, you know what? I don't want to leave this subject. I want to come back and talk more about it, because I find it intriguing. We've got to take a break. We're gonna come right back, and we're gonna talk about these biotoxins with my good friend Sean LaFave in his Geared for Wellness Corner. Don't go away. You don't want to miss this.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:22 p.m. Pacific time. Still 65 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. And if you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you happen to be in London, England, well, it's 54 degrees and partly cloudy. If you're in Vienna, Austria, 27 degrees and it is clear. And you know what? It's down a couple of degrees in Wichita, Kansas, where my good buddy Sean LaFave's at. It's now 26 degrees and mostly cloudy. It's on its way down there, Sean, so I don't know. You may need to wear your long johns to bed tonight.
Well, yeah, I probably am going to need to. I'll tell you what.
Hey, so listen, we were talking about...
It's cold at night.
I'm sorry?
I said it gets cold here at night, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'll bet it does. I'll bet it really does. But you know what? Thank goodness we live in a country where we've got plenty of energy. We've got heating. You got a fireplace where you're at, Sean?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And I'll bet you've had that thing cranked in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love a fire. Did I ever tell you my first home we had the morning and I bought many years ago? We had a fireplace in it, and when we moved in, I want to say I'm not sure exactly, but I want to say it was like August, September, something like that, and it had to be 100 degrees outside, right? So we just had to use that fireplace. So we put a fire in the fireplace and cranked the air conditioning on at the same time. You know? But thank God I live in a state where that fireplace wasn't a necessity, right?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, no, it's nice to have, but you don't want to actually have to need it.
Yeah.
So I remember, growing up in Southern California, we were living in Simi Valley when I was in high school, and for whatever reason, I don't know, it could have even been the summertime, and I just decided I wanted to have a fire, and we had the old school fireplace where you had to actually, put wood in and, stoke it and the whole bit, and nowadays everybody's got the gas fireplaces, but, my parents were in bed, and I don't know if it was a Friday or Saturday night or something like that. And so I just decided I was going to make a fire. So I made a fire. All of a sudden, my dad comes on, "What the hell are you doing in here?" I'm like, "I just made a fire." He's like, "Well, go open the damn flue if you're going to make a fire." He's like, "Oh, house, you not see the smoke?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, there's smoke in the house." So the house was filled with smoke.
Hey, Sean,
apparently we didn't have a smoke detector.
Sean, do you know anybody who has a fireplace that has not, at least at one time, forgot to open the flue?
Oh yeah, no, I think that it's mandatory to use it at least once.
And then when you realize you haven't opened it, you got to stick your hand in there where the flames are at to do it really fast, and it's hot.
Yeah, that metal bar that you got to push up is you got to grab a towel or something to grab a hold of it. Yeah. By the time you realize what you've done, you're going, "Oh great, now there's no way around it." But anyway, so yeah, we were talking about of course me treating my son with natural means, and how, obviously people like Dr. Pan would, in my opinion, would love to take that right away for parents to make the choice, with this loose language in this bill. And it really is to me, there's probably a lot of people out there would read this and go, "Oh, this is good for the children." This is, especially California, where, it's definitely more of a left-leaning state where Californians seem to like the government controlling their lives, and so I can see a lot of people supporting this in California because they just don't they don't have a problem with the government telling them they're sheep. They're just going to do whatever they're told to do. Yeah. And so I was doing some research and I came across this article, and this is from back in 2011, and this kind of really, for me, just really highlights the importance of making sure bills like this don't get passed, okay? Because when you think about, the abuse in the government and people in positions of authority, and some of those people are on power trips. And so this is an article from 2011, so it's a few years old, but still, it falls in the same category. It says that this is from Orange County, of all places, where I live, that Orange County loses a $4.9 million lawsuit over two social workers who lied about the conditions that a child was living in so they could take the child away. And one of the social workers was actually quoted as saying that either the mom would submit to her will, to the social worker saying either she submits to her will or she'll never see her children again. Was actually one of the quotes. And so what happened was these two were found guilty. It went all the way up to the Supreme Court. They were found guilty of lying. This woman took her 6.5 years to get custody of her children back. Initially, the children were taken away. They were put in an Orangewood children's home, and then went into foster care. And I'm assuming that the ex-husband of the woman must not have been the biological father, but she ended up giving him full custody of the children to try to protect them from the foster care system. And so she was allowed, I think it was 2 30-minute visits. If it says in here, she was allowed 2 30-minute visits a week with her children. And then eventually was able to go on to get 50-50 custody with the children. And then eventually, after winning, of course, this lawsuit, she got 100% custody of her children back. But these two social workers for what? You got to ask yourself, what's the motive behind this? You know, besides the fact that they can. Some people are just on a power trip. You know, there's no reason to, you know, maybe you get mad at someone. Maybe you didn't like the way she talked to you. That's you know, tough. You're in social work. That's you know, that's just what you do. You put up with people. But for them to take away this woman's children, her two daughters, for 6.5 years is unimaginable to me.
Unconscionable.
It's unconscionable. Yeah, they were, again, it was a $4.9 million judgment, and they're also of course, the county and the two women, not that they're ever going to be able to even come close to paying this back, but are responsible for not only the $4.9 million, but also for interest that has accrued since this all began. So now the total that's owed is $9.3 million. And here's the funny part: that the mom, with the case, she actually was willing to settle for $500,000 to make it just to get custody of her children back. She said, "Look, I'll settle for $500,000 and make this go away." And they said, "Nope, we're going to fight you." And they did, and now they owe $9.3 million. So the county, $9.3 million. I can't even imagine what could be done with that much money to help benefit society. You know, Orange County is Orange County, but imagine what $9.3 million could do to help homeless children.
Oh yeah.
You know, but now it's got to be paid out. You know, a bunch of it's, of course, going to the attorneys. I'm sure over half of it is going to the attorneys. But you know, this really highlights the importance of, you don't want the government to have any more control over your life, especially when it comes to things like how to raise your children, how to make healthcare choices, you know, what's considered quality care, what's considered a safe environment. You know, maybe someone doesn't agree with the fact that I like to go hunting and I want to take my kids hunting, you know, and they say, well, that's really not a safe environment because these kids are around guns and they could get hurt, you know. So, you know, who's to determine, you know, all this loose language, you know, who's going to be interpreting that? And it's scary to me to think that in the state of California, that a bill like this has even been proposed, let alone the fact that it could actually pass. I don't know.
But you know, you've got to, as a member of the human race, you have to question the mental acuity and capacity of any person that would put such a bill before the governor. Yeah, and Senator Pan, he's just, you know, he's bought and sold. He's your typical politician that's bought and sold by big corporations, by big pharma. He plays into their will, and he does it with a smile on his face the whole time. In fact, Bill Bigtree, who is the producer for the, or I guess director, I think is what he is. He's a director for that movie Vaxxed. Mm-hmm. He actually went to Senator Pan's office. He just wanted to sit down and talk with the guy. It's not like he, you know, walked up with a baseball bat in his hand or something. Mm-hmm. He wanted to go talk to the guy. Senator Pan found out he was waiting for him, ran out of his office, ran down. Bill Bigtree's got a video of him chasing Senator Pan down the hallway, down the stairwell, trying to catch up to him. This guy literally ran away when somebody wanted to sit down and talk to him about SB 277 instead of being. You mean SB 18? You mean SB 18?
No, SB 277. That's the one that Senator Pan also proposed and got pushed through. Was the one for the mandatory vaccinations. Oh. So he's doing both. He's doing both 277 and 18. But before this was earlier this year that Del Bigtree walked into his office and said, "Hey, I'd like to talk to you." And this guy literally ran away from the opportunity because he knows that, you know, Del Bigtree's going to, you know, he's whatever they say, he's going to put into his tour. You know, it's going to be right there on social media. It's going to be out there in the open. And he didn't want to have to answer the tough questions. And I find it unbelievable to me that we have senators like that are so bought and sold that they can't even think for themselves. That when someone comes to them and wants to ask them, say, "Hey, you know, you got this bill pushed through, you know, we'd like to talk to you about it." The guy literally ran away. It's just through his. I don't know what he's in the Capitol building or where he was. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you know, it's scary to think that something like this could go through. And you know, I look at the government and I California, as a matter of fact, I was doing some other research. I was looking at, which states are the most free and the least free. And actually, as far as regulations go, and civilian, the population's rights and so on, California was ranked 49th.
It's actually
one state less free.
Yeah, this is a bad analogy to draw, but my whole career was built around taxes and tax court and accounting and fighting government agencies on behalf of my clients. And I want to tell you, I'd rather deal with any agency, the federal government, any agency other than the state of California, because the state of California was just horrible, intractable with the things that they would do, to their own citizens.
Yeah.
Would not listen to anything. And you were talking about being on a power trip. Boy, I want to tell you, those representatives, not the representatives, the representatives, but the people that work for the Franchise Tax Board and the State Board of Equalization. And I want to tell you, those people are on a power trip, guaranteed right now. Their job is to find something wrong or create something wrong so that the state gets more money in their coffers, regardless of the pain and suffering that it causes their citizen.
Yeah, and the problem is, there's a lot of people going, everyone else in the other states going, oh, thank God I don't live in California. Well, when this stuff passes in one state, if all of a sudden they realize, hey, this is a benefit to us, meaning the system, not the people, but the system, it's going to be passed in another state and then another state, and pretty soon it becomes nationwide.
Sean, it's all about money, it's all about revenue, and it's all, the truth is that before any of these legislators get their office assigned to them, they've been bought and paid for long before that.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, and that's the problem. To me, the government is there to protect and defend its citizens. They should be responsible for things like the military, the police, the fire, departments, and so on. And there's obviously some laws that need to be in place, to protect us from, so my neighbor can't come and steal my stuff from me, and those kind of things. But for them to decide, what's in the best interest of my children, or who should get what health care, or who should go to school, who shouldn't go to school, depending on what program they're a part of. It's such a scary notion to me to think that we're moving in that direction. And there's still fortunately there's still a lot of places in this country where they've rejected that wholeheartedly, and it'd be nice to think that maybe someday some of these things can be reversed. But when the system becomes more powerful and it has more control, the last thing it wants to do is give up any control at all. Yeah. It's a lot easier to prevent it than it is to get rid of it.
Yeah. So listen, we've got 40 seconds before we have to say goodbye. What do you got planned for Thursday, or if anything?
Yeah, I don't have anything planned. You're gonna
sort of like today, huh?
Some articles.
Sort of like today, huh? But today seemed to work out.
I had something planned for today. Yeah, no, it worked out well. I knew I wanted to talk about this SB 18 and 277, but who knows? Maybe we'll find a new specific. I know you like to get into the stuff where we talk about how the body functions. So
I love that. Yeah, I love that.
I'll come up with something between now and then I'll send you a couple articles, and we can go from there.
Yeah, and you know what? And we can talk a little bit about my experiences with rheumatic fever, and you can put your 2 cents in at the same time. I think people might find that interesting, and there's a lot of information that people would like to have. You know what? When you get a catastrophic disease like that, it doesn't mean that life is over. It just means that you got to hope to heck that you've got really, really good choices and a good physician or a good practitioner that's going to help you.
Absolutely.
All right.
I look forward to it.
All right, my friend. Listen, I look forward to talking to you on Thursday. In the meantime, stay dry, stay warm, don't get sick, and have a little toddy for your body. It's sometimes that's a good thing,
I agree.
All right, buddy. You have a good one. As usual, I don't know what it is when you and I get together. The time just blows. Yeah, it blows right by. All right, buddy. You have a good one. We'll talk to you on Thursday.
Thanks, Robert.
All righty. The rest of you folks, stick around, because when we come back, we're going to be doing the birthdays for the day, the secret daily teaching for your life, the Harvard business tip of the day, and interesting but useless facts. And then right after that, we're going to do our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. Today's story? the artistic type. Yeah, you think you know, but you don't know. I'll tell you all about it right after these brief messages.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:42 p.m. Pacific time. Still 65 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. And you know what? And if you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in Tokyo, Japan, well, it's 45 degrees and it's raining right now. And if you're in Sydney, Australia, beautiful place, get this, 95 degrees and it is clear. Wow. Fantastic. Well, you know what? Time for us to talk about the Harvard business tip of the day. And the management tip today is combine your customer and employee feedback systems. So here's what we're talking about. You know, most companies ask customers for feedback about their products and services. You see it, you get it all the time, right? But only a handful ask their employees the same questions. Now, this is a missed opportunity. A lot of insight can be gained from connecting your customer feedback to your employee feedback systems, especially if you flag interactions where your customers and employees' perceptions diverge. So, in addition to asking your customers questions like, was your problem solved and are we easy to work with? Ask your employees, did you solve the problem? And was it easy to access the tools and resources you needed to do it? The combined answers will give you more insight into your customers. The managers can use the information to coach employees, access whether they had the right tools and resources, and identify people with innovative ideas and leadership potential. Connecting these systems can create powerful feedback loops that both engage employees and help your company respond to fast-changing customer expectations. And that is the Harvard Business Tip of the day. Well, time for those secret daily teachings for your life. You know, it's all about a positive mental attitude. You decide if you're going to be happy or sad, rich or poor, a success or a failure. You do it every morning when you look in the mirror and you say, wow, it's going to be a beautiful day. It's going to be wonderful. I'm going to be successful. I'm going to be profitable. I am going to make everybody around me happy. Well, you know what the teaching for today is? You can create anything that you want, but to do that, you must follow the principles of the law. Now, eliminate all doubt and replace it with the full expectation that you will receive what you are asking for. If you're not receiving what you're asking for, it's not the law that has failed. It means that you doubt. Your doubt is greater than your faith. Come on. It's all about a positive mental attitude. Get it right. Get it straight. Make your life one fantastic place in the lives of the people around you. Well, you know what the day is today, right? Sure you do. I do. Everybody does. It's always getting closer to that magic day with Santa and his reindeer, right? Well, but today, it's Tuesday, December the 13th, and it is absolutely somebody's birthday. Yes, sir, and we've got some terrific birthdays for you today, so instead of just talking about them, let's go ahead and do them, right? Today is the birthday of a guitarist that originally gained fame as the lead guitarist of the Amboy Dukes. Happy birthday, Ted Nugent. Boy, he's known for a lot of things as well as that, right? How about this? A guy born in 1967, an actor, stand-up comedian, and singer. For his work in the film Ray, Fox won the Academy Award. Fox? Yeah. Happy birthday, Jamie Foxx. And then finally, born in 1989, a singer, songwriter, guitarist, and actress, according to Forbes, is the 69th most powerful celebrity, earning $18 million. Happy birthday, Taylor Swift. Yeah, wow. Boy, what a talent, too. And how about this one? You know what? You're wondering about what's going on in history today? Wonder no more. Sit down in your favorite chair, put your arms down, relax, because I'm about to tell you that on December the 13th, 1577, Sir Francis Drake sets out from Plymouth, England on his round-the-world voyage. And then, in 1951 on this date, Margaret Thatcher Roberts marries Dennis Thatcher at City Methodist in London. And finally, on this date in the year 2000, American Vice President Al Gore delivers his concession speech, effectively ending his hopes of becoming the 43rd President of the United States. Well, you know what? Our quote for today comes from Jerome. Actually, it's Jerome. First name, last name, they couldn't decide, right? Anyway, Jerome says, it is always the best policy to speak the truth. Unless, of course, you are an exceptionally good liar. Then, maybe not. Good stuff, right? Yeah. All right, listen, it's time for us to talk about those interesting but useless facts. We've got a couple of minutes here, so let's go ahead and get those taken care of while we can. In any event here, let's see here. How much time do I actually have for this? Oh, I got time. You know what? Did you know that it is possible to lead a cow upstairs but not downstairs? Boy, I can tell you, I was raised on a dairy, and I can tell you that that's true. It's tough to get. You can get a cow up a ramp into a truck, but boy, getting that cow down off that ramp is something else again. Did you know that the desert tortoise can live without having to drink any water? It extracts the water that it needs from the vegetation that it eats. Now that is efficiency. Well, did you know that to pass U.S. Army basic training, young female recruits must do 17 push-ups in 2 minutes. Males must do 40 push-ups in 2 minutes. I wonder how long it'll be before they change that. so that there is equality of the sexes, huh? Did you know that Mazao fruits, nuts, and Mazao is fruits, nuts, and vegetables. Well, here's one for you. Eli Whitney made no money from the cotton gin because he did not have a valid patent on it. Did you know that? Huh, that's a shame. That's interesting. Let me give you another one. The number 57 on a Heinz ketchup bottle represents the number of varieties of pickles that the company once had. And you thought maybe it was the 57th try or formula for the ketchup, huh? No, that wasn't it. Did you know that the Taj Mahal in India is made entirely out of marble? Isn't that something? That's big. That's big. Well, did you know that an artificial hand with fingers moved by cogwheels and levers was designed in 1551 by Frenchman Ambroise Barré? It worked so well that a handless cavalryman was able to grasp the reins of his horse. Wow. That's interesting. Let me leave you with this one. The U.S. has more personal computers than the next 7 countries combined. Now, there is a statistic for you. Now, don't go away. When we come back, we're going to do our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. As I said, today's story is the artistic type. You're not going to want to miss it. We're going to be right back with Paul's story after these brief messages.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:53 p.m. Pacific time. You know, this hasn't gone down at all. It's still 65 degrees in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Must be stuck there. It's on the way down to 50. And if you happen to be listening to us on our syndicated global network and you're in Auckland, New Zealand, well, you know what? It's 66 degrees, mostly cloudy. Hong Kong, in China, it's 70 degrees and it's raining. And if you're in Lisbon, Portugal, and it's beautiful there, 55 degrees and overcast. But right now, time for us to do our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. Yes, sir. You know what? Paul Harvey, the American Broadcasting Company, actually called him the biggest voice in America. He's Paul Harvey, absolutely. And each week, millions of listeners, viewers, and readers were awaiting his unraveling of the mysteries of events in the lives of people past and present. He was heard on over 1,400 radio stations, seen on 110 television stations, and read in over 300 newspapers. Now, the rest of the story has for years been exploring the byways of history with revelations that are intriguing, amusing, and surprising. Well, you know what? The story for today is the artistic type. Now, I know what art is. It's the development of a man. An artist is not producing things. He's evolving himself. John said that. John is an artist, a romantic, a classically sensitive man. Few serious artists in his age could hope for John's success. His smallest lithographs sell for no less than $200 apiece. His watercolors bring between $1,000 and $1,500. His oil paintings have sold for $6,000. Not long ago, a shopping center art gallery sold $64,000 worth a month. John's art is represented in 40 museums throughout the world. New York's Metropolitan Museum of Art holds 5 of his paintings. Painting is like being in love for the first time, John said that. So it should not surprise you to learn that despite his financial success, he continues to be motivated by an intangible ideal. He would, in fact, continue to paint for the same reason he began. He cannot live without it. Even though you know this artist well, perhaps you never really knew him as you will when you learn the rest of the story. You know, an artist is all he ever really wanted to be. In grammar school, he won a contest sponsored by the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. For his drawing of a sad and bedraggled little dog, he received the Humanitas Award. Upon graduating from high school, he received a second award for his art, the St. Gaudens Plaque. The New York City school system offers only one each year. As a sophomore, fine arts major at the New York University, John organized his own art school in Greenwich Village, the Village Academy of Art, at 129 McDougal Street. In 2 years, while John was still a senior in college, several of his works were accepted by the Metropolitan Museum of Art for its permanent collection. In the years since, John's paintings have appeared in dozens of prestigious private collections also, including those of mayors, governors, senators, congressmen, respected church officials, and international celebrities. The collection of Field Marshal Montgomery holds one of John's paintings. Recently, asked about plans for the future, John said, "Most of all, I want to spend more time with my sweet Marie, the wife of my youth, who abides with me still." John's fond of Sean O'Casey's line, "Let us find ways to spend joy into every moment of tomorrow's day." Those words are so like John, the eternal romantic, the internationally revered and successful artist whose sensitivity is such as mostly hidden from the rest of the world. For though John would rather you remember him as an artist, he has another job, another role in life that might suggest he's anything but sensitive. The boy whose artistic career was launched with a drawing of a little puppy or a lonely puppy, the mature artist whose secret life is wrapped in canvas and colors and dreams, is also Steve McGarrett, the hard-hitting, uncompromising Irish cop of television's Hawaii Five-0. John's friends call him Jack Lord. And now you know the rest of the story. Well, you know what? On my next show, we're going to be talking about the war on terror and how it's invading your privacy. And we'll give you some practical tips, too. It's going to be a fun show. And then Dr. Wireless, Joel Saltzman, is going to be here. He'll be talking about technology news and new things that are going on. And then I'll contribute our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. Tomorrow's story is going to be the deciding vote. You're not going to want to miss that. Not at all. That's for sure. I'm going to ask you to please tell all your friends about our show here on the RLC Broadcasting Network. They'll be glad you did. You'll be glad you did. And I'll certainly be glad you did.
That's our show for today. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza.